talking dreams so big that they'll haunt you or they'll calm you. That's how you know if you gotta go and get to win and not conquer. I had to go out and get it without a sponsor. Kept it real, never crooked, yeah, that's honor. Now I can go out and get it how I want to. Hashtag bless, I choose.
What is up, Rumble? What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Ryan Matta Show. I am your host, Ryan Matta. We have an amazing interview and a special guest that's going to be joining us today. His name is Ryan Matta. He's what I consider to becoming a Bitcoin expert. He's just got his YouTube channel up and running over the last 6 months. He's putting out a lot of great content. I mean, some of the best educational content on Bitcoin that I've seen yet. So it's an absolute honor and a privilege to have him on the show. If you guys can swing down below in the show notes, in the description of this video are all of his social media handles. If you could swing over there and follow him on YouTube and especially on Twitter, especially if you guys are new to Bitcoin, you guys are wanting to learn more about Bitcoin, he is a great resource and a great wealth of knowledge. So before I overtalk it, I'm going to invite Robin on the show. Robin, pleasure to meet you, man. And thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And I'm getting red here. Like, it's such a nice intro. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, man. Has anybody ever told you kind of sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger? I mean, I can't get over it.
I get it. I get it all the time. I don't know if it's that I'm Austrian and most people outside of Austria don't know a lot of Austrians that speak English. Yeah. I also get that from Austrians. Maybe I have like a deep voice and that sounds Austrian. Yeah, it's like I get a lot. Like I got like 3 years ago, someone told me that I sound like Adolf Hitler. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is a bit is I like the comparison with Arnold Schwarzenegger way better.
Have you ever thought about making any like short videos? You ever seen like the prank calls where Arnold calls somebody? He's like, "You want pepper? You want pineapple on your pizza? You want shitcoins and not Bitcoin?" Man, that'd be a huge hit, buddy. But tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Yeah, I thought about doing this videos and I got a lot of recommendations to doing that. About myself, I'm from Austria, as you can hear, and I came into finance when I was 18 and I had a little bit money left over and I was like, yeah, what should I do? And I get it in savings account, I did it with everything. Then I got into stocks like when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old. And then I was like, people kept asking me about this Bitcoin thing. And I was like, of Warren Buffett school of thoughts, I had this, it has to be like a kind of a flow of money. There has to be some sort of money flow to be valuable. So I did not knew about gold. I did not knew about sound money. I did not knew about anything about of that. So I was like, Bitcoin is a scam. It's just a fake version of gold. About 3 years till 2020, I actually had this train of thought, and then I'm embarrassed that I had this train of thought for so long. But then 2020, a friend kept asking me, "Hey, what is this Bitcoin thing? What is this Bitcoin thing?" And I was like, "Okay, let's dive deep into it and let's prove everybody wrong about Bitcoin." And this was the weekend where I discovered Bitcoin actually, and I was like going down the rabbit hole. On Friday, I was thinking it's a scam. On Sunday, I decided to buy my first Bitcoin on Monday. On Monday, I bought my first Bitcoin. On Tuesday, I bought my first ledger. And then I just started to learn about it. And 1 year later, I sold everything. And now I'm Bitcoin only. This is an extreme step. Like I'm like well aware that's for newbies. It's like what he got all in Bitcoin. And this is something that's kind of shocking. And I always recommend everybody to get a small portion of Bitcoin, just like get 100 euros, 1,000 euros. It depends on your budget. Like if you have 50 million on your bank account, you can get 10,000 euros of Bitcoin to try it out. If you have 10,000 euros in your bank account, maybe try like with 20 euros of Bitcoin. Just try it out and then get educated on it. If you have a little bit of skin of it in the game, you have more motivation to do it. And yeah, like if you don't hold any Bitcoin, you should definitely change that.
And what was the time frame you said in 2020? What month was it in 2020 that you came to start getting into it?
It was, I think, May or June, around that time. I think in June I bought my first Bitcoin.
So that was right after the crash, right? Right after the crash, Bitcoin was what, around 8,000 then?
Yes, I think the cheapest Bitcoin I bought was like 7,000. Obviously, I bought most of the Bitcoin under 10,000 actually, because it just gets harder and harder to accumulate, and we never went down after the under the 10K mark. I'm glad that I'm one of the rare people that actually accumulated Bitcoin under 10,000, and soon we will be rare people that accumulated Bitcoin under 100,000. But yeah, still a chance to do that. Yeah. So it was like 2020 in June. Then right around 1 year later, to the all-time high event to go all in, which is an interesting thought. But I was like already kind of all in to 2021. So like end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I went deeper and deeper into getting into Bitcoin.
It's weird how that. Can you walk me through your experience of, like you said, you weren't always all into Bitcoin. It sounds like you rode almost part of the bull run up in multiple altcoins. It sounds like, and then you said you went all into Bitcoin. So what was that transition like, and what led you to that realization? Like it's Bitcoin, not shitcoins. Bitcoin, not crypto.
For me, I was always a Bitcoin. I had always a little bit of altcoins, now not. So it was never like I had never a shitcoin phase in the sense that I was completely all in Ethereum or Cardano or Dogecoin or anything like that.
Yep.
Never was really deep into one coin except Bitcoin. And then it was like gotta get rid of that coin, get rid of that coin, just because Bitcoin was really the strong leader for me. And then I actually learned about it, like why is it that Bitcoin is the winner? And this it's so, when you look back, it's so easy actually to see, because what do we want to achieve with cryptocurrencies? We want to achieve that we have an asset and money that is outside of any control. No government, no institution, nobody can control it at all. So in order to achieve that, we have to have it decentralized. There cannot be a single point of failure. And if you look at Ethereum, there is, in my opinion, a CEO with Vitalik that can change the whole protocol for proof of work, of proof of stake. There's a roadmap. It cannot be decentralized if there's a roadmap that people are working towards. So if it's not decentralized, it's not a crypto. And only Bitcoin has this one decentralized thing. And it also proved that decentralization, it has, I think the best way to look at it, how it proved to be decentralized, was two things. First of all, China tries to destroy it since 2013. They're getting actively, probably maybe even before that, but since we know it, 2013. And then the block size wars, where the whole industry, the Bitcoin industry, went against Bitcoin. 95% of the miner were of the side of having higher block sizes, and only a small portion were on the side of having the block size where it is now. And those actually won because the users, the nodes that are actually saying what is Bitcoin and what is Bitcoin not, said we are sticking with that. And this was a crucial point in Bitcoin history. And it's like, there's even like books about it. Like if you want to know why Bitcoin is so decentralized, it's kind of hard to explain in a few minutes or few seconds. But I totally recommend everybody reading the book. I don't know the author. It's like Block Size Wars. You can probably find it and like put it afterwards in the videos. And there's other great books you should definitely read, like the Bitcoin Standard, all the standard Bitcoin readings and books. And it comes down to decentralization. If it's not decentralized, it does not make sense. And then we only have Bitcoin. And then if you want more scalability, you can put it in layer 2. We kind of forget that technology always is moving up the scale ladder with layer technology. We have the TCP/IP protocol. And on top of this TCP/IP protocol, there we can build on the different layers on top of that. And Facebook, Google, this is not the main layer. This is the top layer where all the other stacks underneath that. And this, the same thinking, the same technology thinking is for Bitcoin. You have to have Bitcoin as a base layer, and you can put everything you want on top of that. You can put NFTs, all the applications on top of Bitcoin. I'm not a huge fan of that, but you can do it. You can put Lightning, you can put Fedimint, you can put Liquid, all the layer 2s on top of that. You can even make an argument that the Bitcoin ETFs are a layer 2 technology to Bitcoin, because they are taking Bitcoin and storing them for the clients. It's kind of a layer 2 solutions. And so we always scale in layers and not on the base layer, because if you scale the base layer and you have a lot of big block sizes or a lot of whatever it is, you kind of end up where the decentralization gets lost. So you also have this trilemma of the blockchain. You have security, there's decentralization, you have scale. And if you don't have the decentralization security, you don't have anything. If it's end up centralized, then we can also make a database entry. And this is another great point. Blockchain technology is extremely inefficient way to save stuff. Like if you want to save stuff, just a normal database is way more efficient in getting the job done than blockchain. So why is Bitcoin on a blockchain? Because it's money. It only makes sense for money to be on a blockchain because we need this indestructible base layer, this ledger that is never be manipulated, that we know I made this transaction to Arnold, to anyone. And if I made it, I cannot reverse it. If I make a mistake, I have to have the full responsibility. It's also a system that brings back responsibilities and consequences. We kind of forgot what it is like to have real consequences to it. If I gave a gold coin in the olden days to someone else, I cannot go to the bank and say, please, can you reverse this gold coin transfer? And they're like, what transfer? Yeah, they don't even know about it and they cannot reverse it. And that's Bitcoin. If you transfer to the wrong guy money, you cannot get it back. It's gone.
Yep.
And I like that system because it brings back responsibility. I forget credibility. No, I forget the word, how it's what the word is, but basically it brings back responsibility of your own actions.
Personal responsibility.
Yes.
It's ultimate,
exactly.
Ultimate personal responsibility at its base layer.
Exactly, and we need this base layer to be exactly that, and then we can build so many things on top of that. We will never buy. And I hate this argument. Yeah, but we cannot scale Bitcoin because it only has 7 transactions per second. How will this work? It needs 10 minutes to confirm. Of course, it's the base. We need to scale on layer 2, 3, 4. And on top of those layers, then we have a fancy transaction where you have a hot wallet on your phone and you can pay instantly. Even Lightning works fine, but I think we go layers higher above Lightning or above something else, and then you can instantly transact. You will use it in Facebook, you will use it in WhatsApp, you will use it in Rumble. You can even have a Rumble coin on top of Bitcoin, but at some point will be reconverted to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the base layer. You can put everything on top of it. You can put even a credit system on top of Bitcoin. And this is the beauty of it, because it brings back sound money in the base layer, and also then low time preference. And this is like, I'm just ranting about different stuff now, but if we have a sound money and you have it, like if your default choice of money is sound money, which is increasing in value over time, versus a money that is decreasing over time. Because if you have US dollars, I can bet with you in 20 years you will buy less with those those US dollars than now. If you have now Bitcoin and you save in Bitcoin, in 20 years you can buy more with those Bitcoins than now. So this completely changes the time preference of people using Bitcoin or US dollars or anything else for that matter. So if you have Bitcoin, with every purchase you're doing, you're like, if I do it now, I lose out on the opportunity to increase my purchasing power. I can wait another year, and instead of buying now one banana, maybe in a year I can buy 2 bananas for that. So it completely changes the way people interact and the way people think about money. And then there's another thing coming up, and this is like the Keynesian economics point of view. They're like, but then nobody spends the money. I'm like, of course people will still spend the money because people have to live. people have to live somewhere. They have to have a roof. I'm on a Bitcoin standard since now 3 years. I'm approaching the 4th year. No, I'm actually almost at 4 years now. And I still buy a microphone. I have a quite new MacBook, and I still purchase stuff because I want to work nicely. I want to live nicely. And at some point, it's like, okay, I know that I will lose out on stuff, but I have to live. I have to do something. If I don't consume food, if I don't spend on food, I will die at some point. So people will still spend. They just will be more careful with what they spend. And then we get into an interesting conversation where we probably are entering a world which is degrowth for a little while. And then we're getting in the world where we have abundant growth. Because all of a sudden, those cheap businesses that are just there for like a year and they are taking advantage of the credit system and everything like that, all the fiat stuff that's going, they will not survive on a Bitcoin standard, because also the investors, also the venture capitalists, they will still exist on a Bitcoin standard, but they will be way more careful with their money than now, because all of a sudden they have money which accrues in value over time. Now they're like, okay, there's a startup, let's invest in there. Like it's like, oh, I invested 20 startups and I'm betting one of those makes it, and the one that makes it pays for all the 19 that does not make it. This is something legit right now. But on a Bitcoin sound money standard, you cannot make this bet, because you have to really be careful, where do I put my money? And it brings the low time reference back, and it brings a more organic, slow and steady and sound and healthy growth back. So this was like my short ramble about sound money and Bitcoin.
That was great. And it kind of led me into the next question I had for you, which was, you probably made the mistake. You kind of just explained it when you first got into learning what crypto was. You were also buying other things other than Bitcoin. But I still go back to that. There wasn't the educational content that we had now. Michael Saylor was kind of just getting in to the game back then. And I think he's done so much good for the Bitcoin industry. What do you think it is about new people? So my rule that I teach people is that you can buy Bitcoin your first day hearing about it, right? If you have the ability to set up a Coinbase account and go, and you're not going to spend 10,000, you're just going to buy a small amount, a couple hundred or 1,000 for sure. Like, you don't need to immediately get it off Coinbase, although you should self-custody it. But like you said, once you buy 50 or 100 or a small amount of it, you get a little skin in the game. You start, it incentivizes you to learn more. But my rule is that you can't buy anything until you spend 40 hours studying Bitcoin, because it takes you 40 hours to just get that general understanding, right? So my rule to everybody is 40 hours. And then I say you should spend really 120 hours of doing nothing but watching podcasts, studying, watching people like Robert Breedlove, Michael Saylor. I mean, the Saylor mini series over there on Robert Breedlove's YouTube channel, or better yet, your YouTube channel now. But yet 2 days later, I'll get a DM and I tell them, don't buy anything but Bitcoin, right? I'm very adamant about literally just Bitcoin. Now, there's a few other altcoin projects that I was invested heavily in and I still believe in, but those are companies, right? They're not a decentralized blockchain. You literally have to understand that you're investing in a security. I don't like calling them securities, because I despise the Securities and Exchange Commission in America, because it's so rotten and corrupt, labeling something as a security because some government wants to deem it so. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, but it is a company, and it is dependent on a team of people running it. So you should be very well aware that that is what you are investing in is completely separate than Bitcoin. So I'm not completely against it, But what do you think it is that leads people to go, it's like 3 days later. So even if you watch content 24 hours a day, you still couldn't have got your 40 hours in. So I know you didn't get it. And they'll send me messages like, I just bought Ethereum, I bought Crow, I bought Cardano, I bought this. No Bitcoin. And it just blows my mind. What do you think it is that people don't listen? They think they're smarter than everybody. We're going to go put our money into some random shitcoin. Why is that? What makes people think that way?
I think people have to get humbled first. I think people, they come into the space, they see Bitcoin. First, they're like, oh shit, Bitcoin rose up so much and it's so expensive because they're looking at the unit price of one Bitcoin. Of course, when you see like, oh, one Bitcoin, it's 70 or like 69,000 or whatever it is right now. And they're like, oh shit, it's so expensive. And then your mind works like, oh, Bitcoin, there's also like on coin market cap, there's like Ethereum, this and that and this and that. They're like, they have like €2 of a unit price. They have like €10 of a unit price. Maybe even they have a few cents as a unit price. And then they are calculating, oh, but when this price only shoots up to half of what Bitcoin is now, then I have so much money. And unfortunately, I think it has a lot to do with stupidity and not researching a lot, and with human psychology. And the good thing is about that, they're getting humbled as I got humbled. I lost money in shitcoins. I lost money in Celsius and in what is the other thing? BlockFi.
Yeah.
I got humbled a lot of times. I lost Bitcoin. I lost keys. I did all this stupid stuff. And I mean, this is life. This is natural. Like you get into stuff, and that's why I really rambled hard about all the altcoins. I stepped down a little bit from talking too much about altcoins and even talking negatively about them. I'm just like avoiding talking about them because honestly, if people get into them, I cannot get them out anyways. They have their own decision and they make it, and they will get wrecked if they don't if they buy something. And as you said, like if you see it as a company, it's legit. Like it's basically a company. Like even Ethereum, they have an Ethereum foundation. Yep. I think been sitting in the Swiss Karton in Zug, so they're even not far away from me. There is a team behind it that keeps it running, and the only thing that bothers me if the crypto then also the shitcoin is then promoting itself as decentralized and saying, oh, we are the sound money and we are this and that and we are decentralizing applications and stuff like. It's all legit to the point where they're getting in false advertisement. And if there are false advertisements doing, it's like, I don't even want to give them the platform to speak about it at all at that point. Like I'm just like focusing on Bitcoin. Even if the guest says something about crypto, I'm just slowly mentioning, oh, I'm Bitcoin only. Let's move on and let's talk more about Bitcoin. So I'm just like focusing on Bitcoin. I had this phase where I was shitting also a lot on altcoins and on other crypto. I stepped down from that because I was like, if they don't have value over a long period of time, they will fade out. And maybe they will not fade out. I don't know. And I also don't care. They're so different from Bitcoin, and they're not in competition with Bitcoin at all. Like if you think you buy Bitcoin and you diversify into Ethereum, you did not understand it because you did something completely different. It's like when you buy Bitcoin and you think you buy also Apple because they are in competition to each other. Like it's completely something different. And Bitcoin is like, you buy, you get your 100, 200,000 hours in. You get why it's important, why it's cool, and then you can just set it and forget it. You get a DCA plan. You invest like 10% of portfolio, then you get your DCA plan going, and it's fine. You don't have to worry about it. Like there's no CEO coming out with a quarterly update. Oh, we are setting now the Bitcoin mining rate at this and that. Like it's just working. You don't have to do anything, and it's hard to explain it from my side because I'm talking constantly about it and I have a daily podcast about it. So I'm obviously don't only set it and forget it, but you could, honestly, because you don't need to get updated on Bitcoin. And I'm talking about my business basically, because I'm doing full-time content creation on Bitcoin, so I'm benefiting from people getting into Bitcoin and people consuming Bitcoin content. But you don't have to consume my podcast at all. There's like, once you get Bitcoin, you just buy it and you forget it. And then you're like 10 years later, wow, we have a new money system. And I got in really early and now I have a shit ton of purchasing power. That's the game plan basically. And you don't have to invest, like at first you have to invest a lot of time to first understand it. But you don't have to keep up with the news.
Correct, man. Very, very well said. So you started adopting the Bitcoin standard. Can you walk us through and explain a little bit about how your life has changed since you made that, whether that's financially, just mentally feeling secure? Can you walk us a little bit through like how your life has changed over the last 3 or 4 years since you started adopting the Bitcoin standard?
I think the biggest change is actually having the focus. I'm now 100% focused on like I before I was looking at stocks, I was looking at even the real estate. I was looking at so many different options where I can put my money, and I always wanted to find a solution. Where can I put my money? Where can I put my financial energy, my life energy into? But at some point, I was like, I can put it in Bitcoin. And this is sound money. This is where it's supposed to be. This is the ultimate store of value. Everything else is not a store of value. It's an investment. If you put money in some crypto, it's an investment. If you put money in Tesla stock, it's an investment. And investing is a part-time job, or sometimes even a full-time job. You have to keep up with the news. You have to keep up with the quarterly results. You have to keep up always the management team doing the good or bad thing. And I was that. I invested in Tesla. I made 1,200% a gain. It was like a 13x or something like that. And I was keeping up with the news of Tesla every week. It was a part-time job. I spent like 5-10 hours every week researching about Tesla. What did they do? If there's something coming up in the news cycle, I was like, is that bad or good for Tesla? And it's fun to do that. And at some point, maybe I will do it again and invest in some new companies, in some venture companies, maybe even like private companies. I would love to get into that. But you have to understand, it's a job, not a savings device. And Bitcoin is the only savings device that actually works. So once you adopt that, to come now actually back to your question, once you adopt that savings technology and you put your money into the savings technology, and I did not do any investment outside of that. Now I'm starting my own business. Now I invest basically in my own business. And I have now the focus to concentrate my full time on creating content and creating businesses for Bitcoin. That's my focus now. I wanted to create content. I work with companies. I just want to drive Bitcoin adoption, because I want to have, like, I see it as the biggest revolution that it is going on right now. And if I'm not part of that, I will regret it if when I'm like 80 years old. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, always like imagining when Bitcoin is actually what I think it is, then my grandkids will ask me, oh, Robin, what did you do when Bitcoin was discovered, and Satoshi Nakamoto, how was the origin story? And I don't want to say, oh yes, I don't know, was in some IT job. I actually didn't. I don't know what was going on. I thought it's a scam. I didn't. It's like, I want to be in the biggest revolution of all time, involved in it. And that's why I'm interviewing 300 Bitcoiners this year. I'm interviewing everyday people. So I'm on a good track to actually overhit that target of 300 people this year. And yeah, it's a crazy journey, and I have the full focus now. I don't have to worry about my finances. There's another thing to it before you ask the next question. You also have to set up a nice self-custody solution. And this is something I'm really passionate about. If we have Bitcoin, and this is the decentralized great store of value we have, there will be a big honeypot. People, like, if you have now, you put $100,000, your whole net worth in Bitcoin, and all of a sudden it's $1 million, all of a sudden it's 5 millions, your honeypot for hackers got all of a sudden a lot bigger. And you have it on exchanges, you have it on a sloppy self-custody solution. I just recently made an interview with someone who lost 25 Bitcoins. It's $1 million.
What?
Now it's even more than that, yeah. And I interviewed him to wake people up. Even like he was a Bitcoiner on Bitcoin conferences. He had self-custody, but he had a big honeypot, and hackers got to know him, and they find out stuff about him. And he was listed on exchanges with full names who got hacked, and then all the names got leaked. And so even if you're doing the right things, you have to make sure you're doing it the right way. So get your self-custody solution right. Don't do anything online. Do it all offline. If you have over 100,000 euros or dollars in Bitcoin, do a multi-signature solution. So I can calm everyone down. If you come to my house and attack me with, I don't know, this $5 ranch attack, I can give you one key of 5 keys maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so distributed. I can even talk about my self-custody solution because it's impossible to crack, almost impossible to crack. So it's like, if you really want this Bitcoin journey to be successful also for yourself, get your self-custody solution right. It sounds like I have a service, or I'm offering some service to get it right. I unfortunately don't have. So I cannot go. I cannot guide you now to any website to buy some service from me.
Do you have any that you recommend? That you would? No, I want you to promote any companies that you suggest, or any people that you've interviewed. Please share that information out. And if you have any affiliate links too, tell them where to go. I mean, we'd much rather support you than some random person. So
there is a few ways to go about it. First of all, you can go the route to do it yourself completely, because everything is online. All the information about multi-signature, about self-custody, there's no secret about it. You can just go online and research about it yourself. If you have money and you don't have as much time to research it, I still recommend research a little bit about it. But especially if you are the person that has over $100,000 or even like over $10,000 in Bitcoin, you might consider getting advice from someone. And there are big companies that do the full service for you. They even have a collaborative custody solution like Casa, there's Unchained, there's Nunchuck, and all those companies basically guide you by the hand. They even send you starter packages with like free hardware wallets, different ones, and they have an onboarding call with you 1, 2, 3 hours. Whenever you need help from them, like you can tell them, oh, this is my personal situation. Where should I put my keys? Who can I can trust? Should I put like it in a safe deposit box or something like that? This is a great way to do it with like Casa, Unchained, and Nunchuck are the 3 companies that I know about that do the professional service on a high level. Then there are also just advisors, Bitcoin advisors, like the Bitcoin Way. There I know Tony. I interviewed him even. Like if you go on my channel and you just search the Bitcoin Way or Tony, or even the video I talked about with Rick, who lost 25 Bitcoin. It's one of my most popular videos. You will find it easily. There is also Tony in from the Bitcoin Way. I don't have any affiliate with him, but you can check him out. He is a great dude, and he just like you get in a call with him and you ask him, and he asks you 700 questions to find out about your personal situation, and then he recommends stuff to do, how you can distribute your your Bitcoin so it's secure. And there is also Peter Dunworth, who has the Bitcoin advisor, and he's the guy who says Bitcoin will be at 7 billion US dollars per coin. I recently interviewed him, and yeah, that's like there are great advisors. If you have a lot of money, I actually just recommend you to go to one of the big companies like Casa, Unchained, Nunchuck, because they have a well-tested service. And so, but you can even like this, these are all paid options. So it's like the option when you don't have too much time and you want to have the most well-tested and processed process ever. But you can also just do it yourself. Like it's no, it's nothing, it's not rocket science. Like you can learn it if you are motivated. You can learn it in like 2-3 days and just hustle in. Like understanding Bitcoin is harder than understanding how to secure your Bitcoin.
Agreed. Man, that's great. Great advice. Where do you see Bitcoin going over the next year? We're watching inflows into Bitcoin at a level that is above the peak of last bull run. If I'm not mistaken, the inflows at the peak of last bull run were close to around $1 billion. I think that only happened for a few days, right? And now we've seen pretty much almost $1 billion of inflows consistently for what, like almost 2 weeks now, close to it, like 750 million up to $1 billion consistently. And that hasn't really seemed to show any signs of slowing down. So can you walk us through the adoption of ETFs, what inflows are for people that don't understand, and why that's playing a major role in driving the price of Bitcoin up right now?
First of all, I'm really surprised that we don't have more drama about the Bitcoin price. We were at 74,000 US dollars, which is like $5,000 above the all-time high. We cracked the all-time high in every single fiat currencies, and almost nobody talks about. Like the Google trends are down, nobody calls. There's nothing on that, and this is the really bullish thing. Retail is still sleeping. it's just the ETFs buying. And I don't know if it's also your situation, but on my side, everything is so calm. Nobody's talking. Yeah, please.
Last time when Bitcoin took off, they gave everybody a $1,300 stimulus check, almost $2,000, and said, "Here, go spend this." And so many people put it into Bitcoin. Versus now, like the average person in America, I don't know about the country that you live in, but people around here are broke. I mean, there are more people living paycheck to paycheck in America than ever before in history. I think it's actually like 74% or 64% of Americans right now they don't even have $400 in their savings account. So do you think that has a little bit to play in it? The fact that times are different right now than they were kind of last bull run when they were printing money and helicopter money coming out of the sky?
I think we are now not ready for the all-time highs. If I'm not mistaken, we never cracked the all-time high before the halving. Usually it's like after it.
100%.
So I think people are just maybe like they're just sleeping on it. Like it's maybe it's also because they don't have money, but it's I don't know why actually. Like they're just the retail is just sleeping on it. Maybe it's because they don't have money. Maybe it's because the stimulus checks and stuff like that. It's not that big of a deal. And as you said, like 2020, 2021, there was stimulus checks coming in. I remember seeing all those Reddit threads about stimulus checks and then how they changed and how much to put in Bitcoin and stuff like that. This was a crazy time. Yeah, it could be very well like that. But fact is, nobody's talking about Bitcoin, and I really like to see Google Trends. I mean, we can see that there's more content about it, people watching more and more, consuming more and more Bitcoin, but it's not big. I talked recently yesterday with a big German Bitcoiner. He's like on 2 platforms, over 100,000 followers and subscribers. Like he's really big in German, but he also only makes in German content. And he also said in the bull runs, usually he gets a lot of speaking requests and also for the books. He wrote books and stuff like. And he said like nobody's calling. No, nobody is requesting anything. Like the feeling is like in a bear market, and this is what makes me really bullish. We don't have this craziness going on, but still the price is high. Compare the market capitalization to the high of 2021 and to the high of right now, or like from a week ago or something like that. This was crazy because there are more Bitcoin minted, so the market capitalization is even bigger than the price difference. And when we have now the big inflows, and you asked me what the inflows, basically inflows is like people are buying the Bitcoin ETFs, and this money that they are buying the Bitcoin ETFs has to inflow in Bitcoin, and they are buying Bitcoin up, basically. And we are just seeing the start of it. Like the Bitcoin ETF just launched. We're getting more and more businesses, more and more individuals. But the Bitcoin ETF is just one milestone. And this is what people don't get. Like we had 2020, the first publicly traded company in Bitcoin. Like let's go even further back. We had like 2011, 12, there were just nerds in Bitcoin. Either monetary nerds or technical nerds. Then 2013, we had the first small bull run. Like it was a big bull run, but like market capitalization wise, it was still like a really small thing. Bitcoin is now also a really small thing, I guess, but it was even smaller back then. And then it grew to something that investors were looking for. Like people are like, oh, that's an interesting new technology. Let's invest in that. And 2020 was the big year that something changed in 2020 for Bitcoin, because all of a sudden publicly traded companies in America are buying Bitcoin. And we also have this S-curve adoptions. Like when we see the internet, all the technologies adopting, we always have the first 10% are taking a long time, usually like around 12 years. And then the next from 10 to 90% of the adoption is taking another 12 years. So usually what we have in those kind of adoption curves, we have the first 10% taking the same time than the next 80% to up to 90%. So when we have this kind of a situation, we are now in this extreme hyper growth phase. And also Michael Saylor talks about it. The next 10 years will be the gold rush to Bitcoin. It will be a massive run up. And the Bitcoin ETFs are just starting. And it's just the first step of the way. We had also with 2021, the first country that comes in and buys Bitcoin directly. And he is really aggressive about it and is shit posting about it on Twitter with Nayib Bukele, which is amazing that we have a president of a country with almost 7 million people in it, like it's almost as big as Austria, and he is shit posting about Bitcoin online and shitting on other countries. I love the time that we are in. Like, what a time to be alive to witness all this. And the next stages, like we have the Bitcoin ETF, they will be growing so big, but then we have all these structured products that are coming out and coming in Bitcoin. We have pension funds, we have bonds, we have so much that is still not unlocked. and we are now in this stage where more and more doors are opening up. We have the institutional, the companies that are all of a sudden buying Bitcoin. We have countries that all of a sudden buying Bitcoin. We have all the retailers buying Bitcoin. High net worth individuals, families are buying Bitcoin. We have then all the craziness that's happening in. And then in April, we have a halving where from 900 Bitcoin a day, all of a sudden it's just 450 Bitcoin a day. So we have, and this cannot be changed. When the gold price rises up to like $20,000, what happens? Everybody is selling their gold. I actually have in my room a small gold coin. It has like not a lot of value, but it has some emotional value because I got it from my dad. But honestly, if it runs up to 20,000, I might consider selling it. And a lot of people, a lot of people will sell their gold and they will find more gold somewhere, because all of a sudden they can finance all those products to on all those machineries to get into the gold. And what happens when the gold price runs up? Yeah, there will be more supply of gold. What happens when Bitcoin price runs up? There is no more supply. The supply is getting less. Bitcoiners are not selling. See, how many, what's the percentage of Bitcoiners are holdings in 1 year, since 2 years, since 10 years? It's crazy. People are like
87%.
having the Bitcoin. Yeah, it's crazy. They are not selling. They are having the Bitcoin and they're like, fuck you, I'm staying in this.
Why would you sell your Bitcoin to BlackRock? That's what I don't get. Like, I mean, I'm just watching these companies like BlackRock that are literally buying 7,000 Bitcoin a day. Like, people don't realize, like, BlackRock realizes it, folks, and they want your Bitcoin. They want to buy as much Bitcoin at this price. Why? Because you're not buying it at that price. And they know that you're going to buy it from them at a much higher price because you're going to have no choice but to buy it. So, in my personal opinion, you can either start adopting the Bitcoin standard right now, or, you know, Michael Saylor said it best. You know, we have a name for people that save in fiat. We call them poor, right?
That was
It's
crazy.
probably the best one-liner of all
it.
time.
And
that look on that news lady's face was just like,
and that's the good thing about Bitcoiners. I love to talk with Bitcoiners because they don't give a shit. Like, they will call. They will be the billionaires on national TV that are usually really like strict up with the suits up and really tight. And now they're like calling, if you're saving in fiat, which is the US dollars, like usually billionaires never shit on the US dollar. And all of them say, you're poor if you're saving that one. It's like, how amazing is that time? Like, I just love to be right now a Bitcoiner and be in the Bitcoin community. It's the best time to be in. And you also asked me, I forgot about that part, where do I see Bitcoin going? And people are also always interested in price predictions. And for prices, I have a really simple prediction. Bitcoin will go to 100,000, then to 1 million, then to 10 million, and then just continue to rise. When, it's really hard to say. I guess we have a lot of room to grow the next 2 years, but it will just continue to rise. Like, fiat will go to shit. It will probably be there for a long time. I don't know if I live to that age that I see fiat dying. I don't know if this is happening so fast, because they want their own currency. They can do a lot of shit with that. But even if they survive the next 100 years, Bitcoin will eat itself in the absolute whole of the financial system. So yeah, it's like you can now put it in, set it and forget it, and just see it rising in the next 20, 30 years.
We had a gentleman over in the live chat. I know you had mentioned Ledger when you first started talking about getting into Bitcoin. You bought a Ledger. Are you still a believer in Ledger? Is that something you still recommend for people that are getting in? I don't personally have one. I just had somebody in the live chat that was asking what your opinion was on Ledger for self-custody.
Ledger had a lot of, like, I think Ledger made a big marketing mistake because they tried to solve the solution that people are forgetting their seed phrase, that people are forgetting their passwords. And I personally don't like Ledger that much. Because they support other cryptos, they have big NFT on their website, and they are trying to push people in their online recovery thing. But if you use Ledger just for Bitcoin, and if you use Ledger just for offline, you don't use their online backup thing, because then you can also leave it on exchange, honestly. Then it's fine. Like, if you have a Ledger and you want to keep using it, like, there's no reason to sell your your ledger device. I like other devices more, like the Bitbox, Cold Card. They're I think better devices security wise, but I'm no hardware security expert. So like, but I don't like what a ledger is doing in the marketing side. But it's still fine if you have, and especially if you have a multi-signature solution. Like if you have a 5-key multi-signature solution and there's one key from Ledger in there and it's not backed up to their online thing, then it's fine. Honestly, it's okay.
Would you ever it doesn't have to be this week, next week, whenever you get time, would you ever be interested in coming on the show and walking us through how to set up a multi-sig wallet, what that process looks like, and do like a tutorial on multi-sigs?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to do that because it was hard for me to get educated on that, and I'm not yes, it's not easy. Like it's you have to really know it deeply. So I'm unfortunately I would have to pass on that because I'm myself not an expert on how to set up a multi-signature, but I can like. I think the best person to do that, I mean, he's highly busy because he has like a YouTube account that just crossed 100K, a big Bitcoin sessions. Ben from the Bitcoin sessions, he would be the best person to do that. Yeah, and also I try to minimize me talking about self-custody solutions, because the more I talk about it, the more I give away from my own self-custody solution. Even if it's really secure, you never know who is after you. So unfortunately, I have to pass on that one.
No, hey, no, completely understand, man. You don't if you're out of your depth, you're out of your depth. I completely understand that. I know it's out of my depth. That's why I was asking you if you would be interested in doing it, because I know a lot of people like myself would like to learn more about it. So if you come across anybody in your journey of your 300 interviews that you think would, fit that build and would like to come over here and help educate our community, please, by all means, send them my way anytime. Anybody that you interview that would like to get on any other podcast, feel free to, send them my way. I'm doing the same thing.
I will do I will give you afterwards the handles of Tony and Peter. They both have Bitcoin advisory companies. So I think they would be best to like have on the show, and you can talk with them through like the Bitcoin self-custody solution. They are doing it professionally. Like I'm a professional, like doing basically talking about Bitcoin and trying to educate people why Bitcoin is so important. But it's different from talking about Bitcoin to talk about self-custody, because you also have to be kind of an expert on cybersecurity. You have to know, like if you really go deep in that, you even have to go into how is your computer set up, how is your phone set up, what do you use on your computer, do you like Tony, for example, he worked, I think, 40 years in cybersecurity. And he also walks you through how to set up everything really secure for cybersecurity wise. So that's why I feel like I could do it and walk you through one setup that I will just choose, and then it's a good setup, and it's probably better than most setups out there. But really talking in depth with someone, I think that should be someone that does it professionally. Like it should be someone that has like a long track record, that has a really deep knowledge of that. And I think always also competency comes from also saying where you don't have a competency, like where you're not knowledgeable. And this is something I researched a lot about. I could talk a lot about, but I'm no professional in that. And especially if it's such an area where it's so important, and if there's like one mistake along the way, I don't want to be responsible for someone else losing their keys. Yep. But there are professionals that are willing to do that, and are willing also to speak on the podcast on this topic. And Tony, I think, would be highly, he would definitely do it. I already did 2 podcasts with him. I did one podcast with only him, and one podcast with Rick, where he shared his story about how he lost 25 Bitcoin. And then Tony shared tips and tricks how he could avoid that. and they're going all in all those small details, and like surface level, it's easy to set up multi-signature solutions. There are wallets you can have as an organizer, and then you just set up the keys and you connect it to the one centralized key, one centralized wallet. But if you really want to go deep in that and have a secure setup, you are all of a sudden getting in a rabbit hole that's so much deeper than you ever thought. Because if you really have self-responsibility about your own money, you have to do a lot by yourself. And that's why there are professional services like Casa Nunchuck and Unchained, or why there are advisories that take you by the hand, offer collaborative custody, like they manage one key for you of the 5. And you can always call them and you pay them like, I don't know what they are charging, 1% of your Bitcoin stack or something like that, to make this secure. Obviously, there's cost to it. Like
yeah, absolutely. Time's worth money. And knowledge.
Times is worth money. And you can also do it just by yourself, yeah.
Yeah. And the peace of mind you get from somebody guiding you, you know, because that 1% you're going to give them could cost you 100% of your Bitcoin if you make a mistake. So, Robin, we're getting close on that. We're getting close on that 1 hour mark. We got about 3 minutes left. I want to make sure that you have time to promote everything. I want you to tell everybody about your YouTube channel. What time are you putting out videos? How can they follow you on X? I know I got links down below in the description, but if people don't make it to the end of the show and they don't hear me say that, or, you know, I just want you to be able to promote and feel free. Do you write for any other blogs or talk about any other companies? Promote anything that will help you. And floor is yours, my friend.
I think the best thing is because it's also live. So I guess it's their live. But I just released a really interesting video on YouTube with Giovanni, the guy about Bitcoin power law, and he talks about the Bitcoin price and why it's a natural power law to get to 1 million US dollars by I think in 10 years or something like that. He talks about that, and he even has a model where you can have a weighted DCA, where it's sometimes a better idea to invest, and sometimes it's you have to invest just a little bit less. And I'm not a big fan of that itself. Like, I'm just like set it and forget it. But it was such an interesting interview, and I try to promote it as much as I can because it's an over 2-hour interview, and it's really in depth about Bitcoin, about the price cycles, and it goes so deeper. It goes into science. And yeah, I just put it out. So like, if people want to watch more Bitcoin content today, I guess a good start would be right there. On my YouTube channel, I also put out an interview with Jeff Booth. Like, if you're new to my channel on YouTube, it's like Robin Sire. Probably it's in the description. So just like Robin, as you would write Robin with a normal I, and Sire with SEYR. And go on YouTube. And my standard video that I recommend to everyone, that is on the homepage of my channel for everyone that's new and old to my channel, it's the Jeff Booth video. It's an amazing 1-hour video explaining why Bitcoin is such an amazing technology. And I put out every day in video, and how you can, yes, exactly. This is the page. Oh, I just cracked the 1,500 mark before the
yes, you sure did. Podcast. You sure did, my friend. Yes. Congratulations, buddy.
Yeah. So this is the Jeff Booth video. I put it out 2 weeks ago. This is amazing. As you can see, I already got 20K views on that almost. And this with a channel with like just 1,000 subscribers. And if you go to videos really quickly, then you can see the latest. This year we will hit 1 million Bitcoin in 2033. I can reveal that. Mm-hmm. It's a number, and it's a really in-depth video, and there's so many great videos in there. And I just try to find interesting people to talk to, and bring people that are CEOs of Bitcoin companies. For example, Julian Liniger, you see, I switched to Bitcoin only, and he talks about how to do it. There's so many, like there's Prince Philip of Serbia on the right side. He talks about the nation state adoption. It's an amazing catalog of all Bitcoiners, and I just want to adopt and document everything that's going on in Bitcoin. And this is the best way to find out about the people, because I have the deep philosophy that the interview with my guest is about the guest and not about me. So 95% of the time, I'm not talking, the guest is talking. So you will learn a lot about the guest and what he's bringing to the table. And someone is talking about nation state adoption. Someone is talking about how Bitcoin and deflationary system is bringing an abundant future for yourself and for society. For example, Jeff Booth. Somebody is talking about the Bitcoin power law, how it will have an amazing growth for everybody. And how we can like make buying strategies for Bitcoin. There's so much going on in Bitcoin, and I just want to document everything. And you can even like if you really want to support me, I have since 2 days channel members on my YouTube activated, and 2 people actually joined. You can join here. You get my videos a little bit earlier. This is just something where you can support me. The benefits are getting more. I will shout out people and there's stuff like that. But I'm just getting started, honestly. I'm have 1 year ago I started my Twitter channel, and now I'm just starting my YouTube channel in December, and in January it got a little bit of a growth phase. I think in the last 3 weeks I got like 800, 900 new subscribers. I got now 100K views. Almost in the last 28 days, and yeah, I'm supporting. I'm appreciated of everyone watching and supporting and commenting and liking and whatever we can do. And honestly, I love your show. I love what you're doing on the live stream, and thank you for having me on, and thank you for giving me the time to speak to people.
Man, Robin, it's such a great conversation, man. It really was. Thank you so much for coming over here and educating our audience, and hopefully everybody that's watching this video will swing back over to your channel and hit that subscribe button as well. God bless you, my friend. Thank you again for coming on. And anytime you're welcome, man. You got my Calendly link. So, you know, you got a 15 minutes to kill and you just want to come and jump on and shoot the shit one morning. You don't even have to ask, man. Just book a show and come on and join me.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan.
God bless you, my friend. All right, folks, that is a wrap over here on the Ryan Matta Show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be live over on LFA TV today talking politics. So if you guys want to get your daily dose of political news and see exactly how rotten and corrupt our government is, please come join me over on exclusively on Rumble, home of the free speech. And we also do a show at night tonight, every night at 9:00 p.m. We'll be doing a show that's more so about all just the whole crypto market in general, not specifically Bitcoin. Our 10 a.m. show is absolutely strictly Bitcoin. So if you are a Bitcoin maxi or becoming a Bitcoin maxi like myself, please come join us over here at 10 a.m. Or if you just want to learn more about crypto, come join us at 9 p.m. as well. God bless you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. We out. Later.
Run.